a businessman, a gentleman by the name of Carlos Langley, and he is an owner of a window tinting business, which is very interesting. And we're going to hear a lot about how he got into business and how he made it turn into a very successful enterprise. That's going to be in our first hour. In our second hour, we have a good friend of mine, Lon Schillinger. She is an attorney, and her practices in estate planning. Such an important topic. We've had one estate planning attorney on earlier in the year, and it's such an important topic that we thought we'd bring it back again for an encore presentation regarding the important aspects of estate planning. So we have a great show lined up tonight, and we're going to have a real good conversation. For your first time listeners, let me tell you a little bit about myself. I'm an attorney. I'm a law partner in the law firm of Oden and Green. Been practicing law for over 41 years. My primary practice is in civil litigation, personal injury. My law partner, Alfred Green, is in bankruptcy, consumer bankruptcies, Chapter 7s and Chapter 13s. I've been a president of the California Association of Black Lawyers. I'm a former president of the African American Lawyers in San Diego, which is called the Earl B. Gillum Bar Association. And for 60 years, I was president of the San Diego branch of the NAACP. My co-host, Michael, he's a very accomplished individual. Michael, tell the audience a little bit about yourself.
Well, Doug, first of all, I am honored to be in such great presence with both you, Carlos, and Leonard here tonight. I'm just a humble little guy from the South side of Chicago. And, of course, my practice is financial planning and advising, and I work with businesses and individuals, helping them set and achieve their financial goals. We do it through a myriad of products and services, but mostly by listening to the client and designing a strategy to help them get from point A to point B and anywhere else they'd like to go. My background is I'm an old Navy guy. Came to San Diego in 1904 and decided to stay. The choice was either stay here, raise a family, or go back to Chicago. I think that's rather obvious, isn't it?
All right. Well, great. You know, our first segment, before we get into our guests now, we like to talk about some of the current events in our segment, which is called What's Going On. And since our last show, unfortunately, we had another horrible instance of mass violence in our country, racially motivated in one sense. The second one, we really don't know, but, just a horrible crime. You can't even call it a crime. It's almost a massacre. An individual drove from Dallas, Texas to El Paso, Texas for the purpose of killing individuals based on their ethnicity. He wanted to kill Mexicans. Apparently, he was a white supremacist, inspired by a lot of the rhetoric that's been going on. A lot of the politicians attribute that to our president because of his vitriol and the comments that he made. But what's most troubles me, not only that this guy committed mass murder, but the fact that he was able to use an assault weapon, weapons that are designed for war. And our country, for some reason, we value this assault weapon more than we value our parents, our kids, our friends, our brothers, our co-employees. Because when this person came in with an assault rifle, he didn't care who he shot. He didn't know if they were moms, pops, babies. They didn't care. But our government seems so intent in having these guns available that they'll sacrifice these people for the 3% of gun owners who own assault weapons. Now, I'm the type of person, I've shot an assault weapon, and it was kind of fun. I mean, I went to an FBI Citizens Academy, and one of the perks of doing that was you get the opportunity to shoot weapons, and I shot an assault weapon. And it's tat, 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 tat. Great. But hey, they're designed to kill humans. They're not, all these folks talk about, well, we're hunters and gun enthusiasts. Those type of weapons are designed for one thing, to kill humans. And
They're designed for war.
war.
Is what they're designed for.
Right. And it's horrible. They should not be on the street. They should be banned. Not only banned, they should be confiscated. Now, see, I'm one of those folks. I'm on the far end of it. I say no assault weapons should be had except for folks who in the military and law enforcement. The regular citizens don't need them. If they want to play with them, fine. Go to a gun range, rent one out, shoot to your heart's content, and turn it back in. But you sure don't need an assault weapon to protect your family. If you want a 9mm or a shotgun to protect your house, all right, that's okay. But you don't need a weapon of war, especially with 100 clips. In that second shooting in Dayton, Ohio, the guy had two magazines with 100 clips in it, shot about 9 people in like 30 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
Fortunately, it wasn't for the cops being on the scene immediately. This guy could have just annihilated a whole bunch of folks. So I'm just too through with it, Michael.
Well, just calm down, my brother. Calm down.
I don't know.
We got you. We got you.
Okay.
Because um, here's how I look at it. My question is, what has Don done now? Well, Don, of course, has incited some of this rioting simply because of the hate and discontent and discord that he starts out with in some of his rallies, some of his speeches. But that is being felt all throughout. That's the real trickle-down effect that it has. And when a guy drives from Allen, Texas, my namesake, all the way down to El Paso, to where some of my good friends were born and raised, and just kills people. His goal is to kill Mexicans. Wow, that takes a lot. And so now these guys are coming to prominence simply because of who's in office right now. And so the NRA, which supports 90% of the Republicans in office, not that it's bad to have the NRA support you, but somebody's got to step up because as I look at it, you know, you got to do something. And if you have these people sitting in office, duly elected officials, sitting there watching, sitting on their hands, doing nothing, hoping that other hate and discontent will wipe out what has just occurred, then it's going to fall out of the public eye. And then they do nothing. That's the real crime right there, to have people in the Senate and Congress to sit on their hands and pass no laws to stop this from happening. Because once we legislate it, we stop it.
Well, absolutely, and it's the people's fault. If you put these fools in office
Mm-hmm.
who are going to support, people's right to carry these weapons of war, and if you're against it, but you still vote them into office because you like the way they vote on judges, or they for prayer in school, or you are for pre-life, as long as the life is in the womb, you're for it. But as soon as they're born, you don't give a hoot about them. If you're gonna vote for those folks, then you have to pay the price because the next time some fool walks into, it could be a Walmart, could be a Macy's, could be your church. I mean, folks with assault weapons don't care,
No, they don't.
and they're radicalized. And once they start shooting folks, it's indiscriminate, it's horrible, and if we don't do something about it, it will happen again.
The new chant in the community is stay woke.
Yeah.
Because see what happens when we went to sleep? We let this guy get in office, and we let Moscow Mitch rise to prominence.
I tell
And
you.
once he rose to prominence, he has put things in place that is going to set America back another 50 years. Because now they're letting judges on the circuit courts that are just outright racist. And, they're sponsored by the NRA as well. So what's next, Doug?
Well, I'll tell you. Well, our president, he came out initially with a Muslim ban.
Mm-hmm.
He wanted to keep the Muslims, all Muslims, from coming into the country. Now he's trying to stop half the squad from going to Israel.
Right.
He convinced the Prime Minister Netanyahu to
To
revoke.
prohibit
Yeah.
what? Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib
Yeah.
from coming there?
Right, and
Yeah.
and that's unprecedented. Our duly elected Congress people go all over the world,
Mm-hmm.
even those who don't agree with the policy. Normally, countries want you to come, even if you disagree with their policy. Well, look, let us show you what it's really about. Perhaps we can change your mind. But Trump gets up and lies and says, "Oh well, these two people, they hate Jews, they hate
Mm-hmm.
Israel." Just a flat out fabrication. And he's such a mess. I tell you, if folks
Well,
don't get on their hind horse and get out and register to vote, then Lord help us.
Well, we definitely have to stay woke because, see, it started out as he's stopping people from coming to this country. Now he's trying to stop people from leaving the country. Come
Right.
on, make up your mind, Don.
Denying green card, denying pathway to citizenship for folks who have green cards.
Right. They wanted to rewrite the wording on the Statue of Liberty.
Yeah, right. So it's and that's what you get when you don't vote, and that's what you get when you sit at home watching Jerry Springer or Judge Judy
Hmm.
rather than taking yourself to the polls. So everyone should register, and everyone should vote, and vote in your best interest.
We have to stay woke. I
Uh,
concur 100%, my friend.
all right, before I blow a gasket, we're gonna take a break. Get back to what we do best. We're gonna be with Carlos Langley, and we're gonna talk a little business here in the first hour.
Outstanding.
You're with Law and Money on GODRadio1.com.
Have you been in a car accident? Bill collectors hounding you? About to lose your house? Your car? If so, you need to contact the law offices of Oden and Green, San Diego's oldest African American law firm. For over 35 years, the law offices of Oden and Green have provided quality legal services for the community. They pride themselves in giving each and every client individual attention. They are located at 701 B Street, Suite 540 in downtown San Diego. Call them now at 619-702-0800. That's 619-702-0800. At Oden and Green, experience matters. Si habla español.
Problems, saving,
Not enough.
taxes,
Too much.
retirement,
Will it happen?
investments,
Which ones are right for me?
insurance.
How will I build my legacy?
At Allen Financial Advisement, we provide solutions to your problems. Allen Financial Advisement is a full-service financial planning firm that offers financial help just where you need it. We can help make you smarter. Allen Financial Advisement provides financial advice with an educational emphasis. Get the answers by calling us at area code 858-964-2309 or visiting us on the web at ALLEN That's AllenFinancialAdvisement.com. We offer financial advice with an educational emphasis.
Securities and investment advisory services offered through Woodbury Financial Services, Inc., member FINRA, SIPC, and registered investment advisor Allen Financial Advisement and Woodbury Financial Services, Inc. are not affiliated.
On Saturday, August 24th, the boat will rock on the beautiful shoreline of San Diego's Bay Arena with the 6th annual Bayside Gospel Concert aboard the Midway, presented by BBVA. Don't miss another urban worship experience.
With headliner Brett Jones, Cheryl Thomas Fortune, Dante, Shantae Atkins, Craft Worship, Robert Earl Dean, and you.
Tickets selling now for the urban worship experience. Go to mandaterecords.ticketleaf.com or call 858-650-3190. That's Saturday, August 24th at 7:30 p.m. Bayside Gospel Concert aboard the Midway.
On the flight deck under the stars. Get your tickets now at mandaterecords.ticketleaf.com. A portion of the proceeds will benefit Mandate Project Impact's Youth Employment Training Program and San Diego Food Bank's Military Outreach Program.
Don't miss Bayside Gospel Concert aboard the Midway. For more information, call 858-650-3190. You've got to be there.
Welcome back to Law and Money with attorney Douglas Oden and financial advisor Michael Allen. Michael, tell us a little bit more about our first guest tonight.
Oh man, our first guest is one of the most outstanding people San Diego has in its community. He is one Mr. Carlos Laney. Carlos is a entrepreneur. He's in the window tinting business, and he's been doing that. Well, I'll let him tell you just how long he's been doing it. But I think he has the best window tinting business in the world, simply because as we get our windows tinted and you drive around, you see people with bubbles on their window tinting. I have never seen a car that Carlos Laney has done with bubbles in it. So that is quite the reputation to have. And after looking through his resume and his background, he has one of the best work ethics known to man. I say, where do you get it from? Well, he get it from his mama. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Carlos Laney.
Well,
Say
thank
hello, Carlos.
hello, everybody. Thank you, Mike. You're too kind. It's when it comes to business and success, is the way you're mentioning that, and why you don't see bubbles. I take a lot of pride in what I do. There's ways of saving money when you purchase materials and the way you service customers and doing their whether it be their cars, as you mentioned, and no bubbles in those cars. But I've started the business doing a car here and there, and transitioned to doing home windows, office windows. Uh, the amount of benefits are in products of window film products are 99% ultraviolet protection, for harmful radiation against your skin and the vehicle, deterioration in fabrics and homes, and as you mentioned, Mom, she is my hero. She's 78 years old, still working every day, doing very intense home cleaning. It's been her business for 50 years, and
And
I'm
she's
very
a
proud.
great cook, too.
She is. You've had some of her homemade Mexican food there, so she is. I have to say,
Yes, she is. She's a
wonderful cook.
fantastic cook.
Well, I want to say, my success has also been, I feel like most of my success is really just seeing my clients being happy, the way you mentioned that, Mike, because I believe that's the way we first met each other.
Yes.
You were referred by a good friend of yours, and we tinted your car and never had a complaint. You bought another car maybe 10 years after. Still looked great. I think you even got a little extra money on that sale. It looked pretty cool with those tinted windows, and we did some new cars for you, right? Another car.
Yes.
And of course now I feel a lot of my success has been with not only our friendship, but when I do turn to financial advice, and I think it's been over 15 years now. You've been my financial advisor, and I feel much more comfortable now being in my mid 50s that retirement is looking much nicer.
Well, we're going to keep this about Carlos.
Okay, Mike.
Because,
Sounds good.
Carlos, I know that you've worked with not only autos, but you've also done buildings. I think you did one of the big buildings downtown as well, haven't you?
We've done several buildings downtown, now working with the city of San Diego as well. What we do a lot is take large buildings, they're older buildings, maybe 20-year-old buildings, and when it comes to energy consumption, we'll take a building and measure all the square footage in the glass. We'll ask the engineer group that manage the building for their San Diego gas and electric bill. We'll take all those numbers, the square footage of glass, and we'll actually take two or three different types of films and show them the return on their investment. It's generally an average of 3 years. They apply a window film that we recommend, and their return on investment is approximately 3 years. This product it'll last 20, 30 years, so they continue to save energy year after year. And San Diego Gas and Electric even has a rebate. So it's a win-win situation for everybody, not only with energy consumption, but reduced glare in the office buildings. It's just a terrific product to sell. And I'm not quite a salesman, but when it comes to using window film,
Uh-huh.
it's just something that customers should really consider when it comes to their cars, homes, offices. It's just a terrific thing
So,
to do.
so what you're saying is that you've done this window tinting for one of the buildings in San Diego. They broke even in 3 years, correct?
That is
So
correct.
now they're making money, and my taxes should go down. Is that right?
That's the way it should pencil out, Mike, and you're the number guy, so definitely, most definitely. There's another place here in La Jolla. I don't know if I can mention the actual place, but it's a pharmaceutical company, 3 buildings. They actually worked with me 10 years ago. It was very difficult to work inside because they're all laboratories. They're doing cancer research, all kinds of stuff, and they were trying to figure out how they can save energy. And that was I promised them a 3.2 year return on their investment. I got a call back from the engineer there, Mark, and he was ecstatic. It paid for itself in 2.5 years.
Wow.
And at that time, I gave him a 5-year warranty because it was an exterior application. Again, we didn't want to go inside with our hands and our material and soap and water and spray it all over this very
You
technical
didn't want to mess up the
laboratory.
drugs, Carlos?
Exactly. We would have thrown something in there and we would have had a Spidey Man or something silly. So we applied it all to the exterior. We gave him a 5-year warranty. It lasted 10 years. We've actually been awarded that job once again this last year. We just
Well,
finished the redoing it.
congratulations.
Thank you.
Outstanding.
Yeah,
That is
so-
great news to hear.
Carlos, let me ask you a question
Yes.
regarding the tinting. Now, I've seen tints. There are some tints that are light, some tints are darker than others. Is there a difference in, the protection based on the darkness of the tint?
Not necessarily now. These films, and I'm after over 30 years in the business, I've really seen the industry really evolve quite a bit. When it comes to ultraviolet protection, as the UV rays coming in into your glass, through the glass, radiating to the glass, the window film will block 99.9% UVA and B. So you're protected whether we go with the clearest transparent film now or even the darkest privacy film. You get the same across the board. The biggest difference is going to be the amount of glare you're reducing. If you can imagine a clear glasses, putting some clear glasses on, or putting some dark sunglasses on, you're reducing more glare. But when it comes to cars, we encourage customers not to go too dark. We always carry displays and we have customers look through them before they make a final decision. We encourage something in the middle range where their visibility is still really nice and they're still getting all that protection. They're blocking 99% of the UV, and that's with any film. But I wanted to mention also these films now, they're called infrared. They reduce the temperature of the heat from coming through as well. So you can reduce anywhere from 40% to 70% of the heat. The IR heat is that temperature that you feel your arm burning when you're going down the road and it's just burning your arm. It's really only 3% of the solar spectrum, but that 3% is the stuff that really you feel from the sun. It heats up. Films are all about infrared heat now. The higher performance ones will give you better benefit, cool down that temperature in your car, the home, the office, even better. Even though you go lighter, you still get really great performance.
Now, I have I wear glasses, and I have the type of film on the glasses that when it's dark outside, the glasses turn dark, and when it's dark outside, it lightens up. Does that technology, is that available in tinting now?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's actually in the works. There is a company now that's starting to introduce that into the marketplace. It's still not something that's proven. It's really worked out well. There's variations in the product. So currently, I don't endorse it, and I don't recommend it for my customers. I feel it's just not something that works well for you.
Not they haven't. The technology isn't there yet.
It's not quite there yet.
Okay, because the thing about tents, if you have a dark tent at night when it's dark outside, it's hard to see out
really
because
is.
and
You mean you just can't get that dark tint just to look cool?
yeah, you might look cool, but you may not know where you're going.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and I think, is there, in terms of law, is there a law that says your car can't be tinted to a certain extent?
Certain extent, yeah. California, other states are a little different, but California state law still requires the driver and passenger windows, basically forward of the driver and passenger, UV protection, only a clear film, meaning a visible light transmission that's a very light, 70% or lighter. Having said that, as I was touching on the infrared heat, we carry a film that's ultralight. It meets California legal laws. It's transparent, but it still blocks over 40% of the heat. It gives you that same UV protection, as I mentioned, 99% with the films, but you're still reducing over 40% of the heat with a film that's clear. So we talk about visibility and safety. You can see right out of that film. If anything, you just reduce a little bit of glare.
Okay, well, that's great. Yeah.
So, Carlos, you've been doing this for over 30 years now, right?
That's correct, Mike.
So what made you become an entrepreneur, to go into business for yourself?
Gosh, Mike, I think it was always a dream. I grew up looking at my mom and, running a small little business, doing home cleaning. And my stepfather was in the business, a gentleman that came over not speaking English and, seeking his citizenship, as we talked a little bit about that. And
Bring us your poor, your tired, your huddled masses.
yes.
And now it's people with a high credit score. But we won't go there.
Yes, Mike, correct. So, and I'd kind of look at my stepdad and my mom. They could hardly speak any English. And I'm going, well, they're running a little business. They're doing okay. I can do this. I'm learning English. I'm learning the language. And I really always wanted to work for myself. Not that I couldn't find a good boss to work for, but honestly, I wanted just to be my own boss. I wanted to do my business. I started doing anything from auto detail, and it was always mobile. I always loved doing mobile, going to customers. And I turned it into just mobile window tinting. That's what I really turned into. Now we're specializing in other types of services for customers, but that's still my strongest part of my company when it comes to window tinting. It's
Doing
something I
those
do well.
installs, huh?
And those installs. And I try to stay away from them, as my financial advisor mentions, but I still do those installs. I
You do
love
those
doing
installs.
them. It's a passion.
That's your bread and butter.
Yeah.
But now, you started out as a one-man operation, and you are a living success. You're a role model for some of our listeners out there because you've grown that business from a one-man, one-van operation. How big is your operation right now? How many vans do you have?
We're currently up to 12 vans, and we have 2 more lined up for the next 30 days. I have 2 more vans on order.
And not only do you cover, well, you're a North County location, but you cover all of San Diego County, right?
Yes, we have about a 50-mile radius. We cover all of San Diego County, South Orange County, and South Riverside County as well, Mike.
You're also known by a lot of the dealerships here in town, aren't you?
Dealerships, yes. One of the first dealerships in Carlsbad. I started working with them over 30 years. We're still proud to say I'm still doing work for them. And dealerships all throughout Escondido Auto Park, Carlsbad Auto Park, into San Diego here near us here in Kearney Mesa. Dealerships just walking distance from the station.
Oh, wow, that is outstanding. So now, because I teach a class in business, I always ask people, what's your competitive advantage? What is it that separates you from the herd? What is it that you do better than others?
Mike, I have to say, I kind of I missed out on more classes in school, going to college. I went right to business. I was very blessed to get so busy that back then my pager was going off during I was going to junior college at Palomar College there up in San Marcos, and I got so busy I had to just kind of leave school and just go right into business. But I want to say my success, it's something I think it was really going back to my hero, my mom, is her instilling that customer service, caring about customers, and I could never leave a job without me being satisfied. I could have said something, here that install might have been okay. I just took a lot of pride, and customers were very happy. I always had just satisfied customers, Mike, and it's still to that day. Customer service. When I hear a lot of places advertise customer service, and I've been a customer for plumbing companies, electrical companies, and I'm not happy. I don't call them back again. And when it comes to my customers, I make sure that they are happy every time. If there's a complaint, I go back, whether it was something to do directly with our company. If we touch that car, we walked in that home, if there's a stain in their carpet, or if there's a scratch in their car, we're making it right for them.
Wow, well, that is outstanding. Now, tell me this. Your business, how do you get customers? That's always, now I got you on the air. You got to answer because you always wind up busy, busy, busy. How do you get customers, Carlos? Tell the world.
Mike, word of mouth, right? That's a common word. We hear about word of mouth. Now it's social media. Honestly, Mike, it's word of mouth still. I have customers that have been calling me about their cars, about their homes. Now their grandkids are calling me, Mike. It's just that word of mouth.
You're not
just,
that old, Carlos.
I'm getting there. I've got a new granddaughter, and I'm so proud of her.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, Amelia, she's a sweetheart. But Mike, it's word of mouth. That's what's done it. I'm starting to put a little bit of advertising out there. Some exposure, of course, with a website. Customers like to go to my website and look up some more information. But it's all word of mouth. It's just taking care of each individual customer every day and making it right, making sure they're happy. As we had mentioned about questions about whether we want light, medium, and dark, that's so important. So we educate our customers in the types of shades. We explain the difference in the films. We don't always try to sell them on the most expensive film. It may be a car and they're on a budget. It might be a student. We're still giving them an excellent film that gives them the UV protection, but it's in their budget. We always have a little bit more expensive products, but we give them the right film. And like I said, Mike, I just can't say enough about customer service. And the business just comes.
What a love
very
story.
blessed.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, look, you sold me.
Thank you.
But we're gonna make a couple commercial breaks so we can sell something.
All right.
We'll be right back with Law and Money with our guest, Carlos Laney.
Outstanding.
On Saturday, August 24th, the boat will rock on the beautiful shoreline of San Diego's Bay Arena with the 6th annual Bayside Gospel Concert aboard the Midway, presented by BBVA. Don't miss another urban worship experience.
With headliner Brent Jones, Cheryl Thomas Fortune, Dante, Shantae Atkins, Tribe Worship, Robert Earl Dean, and you.
Tickets selling now for the Urban Worship Experience. Go to mandaterecords.ticketleap.com or call 858-650-3190. That's Saturday, August 24th at 7:30 p.m. Bayside Gospel Concert aboard the Midway.
On the flight deck under the stars. Get your tickets now at mandaterecords.ticketleap.com. A portion of the proceeds will benefit Mandate Project Impact's Youth Employment Training Program and San Diego Food Bank's Military Outreach Program.
Don't miss Bayside Gospel Concert aboard the Midway. For more information, call 858-650-3190. You've got to be there.
Problems, saving,
Not enough.
taxes,
Too much.
retirement,
Will it happen?
investments,
Which ones are right for me?
insurance.
How will I build my legacy?
At Allen Financial Advisement, we provide solutions to your problems. Allen Financial Advisement is a full-service financial planning firm that offers financial help just where you need it. We can help make you smarter. Allen Financial Advisement provides financial advice with an educational emphasis. Get the answers by calling us at area code 858-964-2309 or visiting us on the web at ALLENFinancialadvisement.com. That's AllenFinancialAdvisement.com. We offer financial advice with an educational emphasis.
Securities and investment advisory services offered through Woodbury Financial Services, Inc., member FINRA, SIPC, and registered investment advisor Allen Financial Advisement and Woodbury Financial Services, Inc. are not affiliated.
Have you been in a car accident? Bill collectors hounding you? About to lose your house? Your car? If so, you need to contact the law offices of Oden and Green, San Diego's oldest African-American law firm. For over 35 years, the law offices of Oden and Green have provided quality legal services for the community. They pride themselves in giving each and every client individual attention. They are located at 701 B Street, Suite 540 in downtown San Diego. Call them now at 619-702-0800. That's 619-702-0800. At Oden and Green, experience matters. Si habla español.
Welcome back to Law and Money with Attorney Douglas Oden and financial advisor Michael Allen. We're here with our guest tonight, Carlos Laney, the owner of Solar Care Window Tinting. And we've learned a lot today about window tinting, the differences. I know my niece, she had her windows tinted at her house. Probably didn't use you, but they look good. But I can see where that could certainly cut down on the heat, because I know my house, I may have to call you because in the afternoon the sun beats down on the back of the house, and it raises the temperature quite a lot. So that could be. Now, do you tint all types of windows? I mean, I've seen the ones that are just, the straight old-fashioned windows, but some of the older windows have a little curvature in them.
Texture?
Yeah.
Would you mean for residential windows?
Yes.
Yeah, they may have some, as long as they're smooth to the surface, we can install a film to it. A lot of textured glass, you'll find it in some bathrooms area. The film will kind of our time adhering to that. But any type of smooth surface glass, we can install it. It could be a single pane glass to our newer windows that are double pane for insulation values. The film just improves on them.
Right. Now I understand you're probably an expert at doing the window tinting. Now, how do you train your employees so that they can have that type of excellence that you demand for your customers? How do you train them to? It's like trial and error. You go out and try it until you get it right.
Well, that's a great question. Yeah, I was actually at a kind of a whole nationwide meeting. Is how do we get employees? Employees are the toughest. Good employees and retaining them, they're very tough. But what I've done is, way back when, I tried different things, and I just went back to the good old basics. What I started with myself was myself learning, because I was never taught by anybody. I did trial and error. Just go, how do I install this? I had no idea. Starting going to Pep Boys to buy film and measure and trying on the first car I ever did. Well, what I had was a helper to help me out. Hey, help me clean those windows while I try to figure out how to tint this window until I kind of figured it out after trial and error, as you mentioned. But once I developed a technique and making the glasses perfect as I can during an installation, well, that helper became an installer. It took him about 3 to 4 years before he could actually develop the what I felt was a quality to install a good installation on an automobile. Residential, commercial, the training time could be 1 to 2 months. But for automobiles, it could take up to 2 to 3 years. It depends on each individual. I have other guys that have worked with me, and they're installing great installations on automobiles within about 6 months.
Now to do a window, I guess you have to number one, you have to take apart the door to get to the window to pull it out. I mean, you just can't push the button and tint. You got to take the window. You got to open up the car to get to the base of the window, right?
Yeah, all cars are different, and that's why the training takes so long to understand each type of vehicle. It could be a BMW, it could be a Volkswagen. They're all different. But we do want access below the seal because that's the reason we put a guarantee that it's warranted for his life as long as you own the car. It's a lifetime warranty with the material and the installation because we want to ensure that that film is below the seal and you're not going to have any premature peeling in the film. So you're correct. In a lot of vehicles where they're hard to install below the seal, we'll actually remove the top gasket. A lot of times we'll remove that whole panel so we can install the film to the very top edge. So when you roll down that window, you don't have any daylight on the top window. You roll it down, it looks just like factory glass and below the seal. The rear windows, we have a technique where we actually shrink and form the film to the curvature of the glass. So you install it, it looks just like you see certain vehicles coming out now, a lot of SUVs they call privacy glass. You can look at our vehicle once we've tinted it. It looks very much the same as a factory tinted glass.
Right. Yeah. It's fascinating to me how now if it takes a person 4 years to develop that expertise, uh, if you hired someone off the street says, look, hey, I need a job and I want to learn how to tint windows. What would be their entry level position at your company?
Yeah, their position as far as automobile, we call them a helper, or you'd call it in other industries an apprentice. They go on that's why I have my teams. Each van carries the installer and that helper. He's learning every day and watching on how the actual installer is shrinking, shaping, cutting film to fit each individual window, whether it's a side window on a vehicle or the back glass, the way it's shrunk, cut to size, and then helping to install the film. That helper is he's bringing out our supplies, our equipment, when we get to whether it's a dealership setting, customer's home, their office, at their home in their garage. We're setting up certain things we need, tools to work with, whether it's a heat gun to shrink film, different types of tools that we use to take apart the car. That helper is there to help out, and he's slowly learning and then taking that next step to train. And what I do is I actually give the helpers free material to work on their friends' cars, their families' cars, so that they can take the practice, the knowledge that they're watching this seasoned installer that he worked with all week. And I encourage them to spend a weekend or a Saturday and try a car, a family's car for free and just learn. The only way they're going to learn is by practicing. And until I see that their level of installation,
Right.
then we talk about do they get into their own van. And that's why I mentioned to Mike, I've got 2 more vans because I got 2 helpers a couple of years ago. Now they're ready to be installers.
So your installation team consists of 3 individuals.
No, it's two.
Two
It's
individuals.
Two individuals.
Yeah, so each van has the installer, the gentleman
Installer.
that actually, he knows how to know what film to use on the car, what to recommend to the customer, start the process of trimming the film, getting it ready for installation. They cut to size each individual window.
Okay.
Okay, and that helper, which is the apprentice that just came in and asked for a job maybe a week ago or a month ago, he's the new guy. He's only allowed to do certain things, helping with cleaning windows, wiping down cars, make sure that car is just as clean or cleaner once we're done. Or even when I'm changing the subject a little bit, on home windows, when we go into a house, the installer, the actual knowledge installer, is going to measure windows and get ready to install that film. That helper is cleaning that window thoroughly. There's a process how to prep a glass so there's no contamination. So when we install that film, it is a clean surface, and that film is not going to bubble up, as Mike mentioned. That's all part of the preparation, and that helper starts there.
So how do you? It sounds intriguing because you get a glass. Number one, it has to be clean,
Yes.
with no dust particles or hairs or whatever. You have to make sure that's perfectly clean. How do you keep the area from being contaminated? If you're doing a mobile type installation, I could see it in a confined setting, like a shop, where you can control the environment. But when you're outdoors, how do you keep the environment so that the glass doesn't get contaminated with dust and birds flying over?
That's a great question.
Right.
You're
Angry
right.
birds.
Yeah. After all these years, I first started with just a, little truck and going out there and just going at it, just trying to, achieve it right in the middle of the sun. And I had pretty good success. But now I've set up really a plan. I have a canopy. We have a mobile garage, basically. If there's no garage at a customer's office, we set up with a canopy. We actually drive the car right inside where the car fits. It's shaded. It has sidewalls to protect us from the wind. Generally, the way we plan out our scheduling, we try to schedule something we know, well, this area is going to get pretty windy, around midday. So we try to schedule any off-site jobs, customer's office. We try to schedule those early. We want to take care of those. Middle of the day, we may be stuck somewhere where we got that challenge. Right in the middle of the day, we get some real windy days. But again, that sidewall, having all that protection really helps us for a clean installation. We carry a power generator because we need power. So we're pretty well equipped with our mobile vans.
Okay.
Well, tell me this. Now that you guys are doing a lot of homes, what happens when you run into dual pane windows? Because the dual pane windows have the gas in between the windows, correct?
That's correct, Mike. We're talking about residential windows and the films. They're specifically designed to go on double pane windows. The challenge is with glass manufacturers, they require a certain spec not to absorb too much heat. Basically, not putting on a film that's too dark. You can put a light film, a medium tint, without any reflectivity. When you start to go into a darker film and the customer wants something really dark in their home to knock out a lot of that glare and light, then what happens is we have films that are dual reflective. They're not reflective to the inside, but they're slightly reflective to the outside.
Uh-huh.
So they work for both reasons. One, to ensure the safety of that glass, that it's not going to cause any premature glass breakage, seal failure, meaning that cloudiness that you see in seals, double pane windows. It reflects more energy. So you benefit from a film that's slightly reflective to the exterior. And those are samples that we show customers to make sure they're okay with a slightly reflective film. But all the films we put on there, we don't only put on a lifetime warranty with our installation and the materials themselves against any defects, any defects with our installation, the material. The manufacturer goes as far as saying, we're going to put film on your windows. We're not only going to warranty the product we installed, we're going to give you a 3-year warranty against seal failure and glass breakage.
Wow.
So we put the film on there, and it's guaranteeing that that window will not break or not develop any seal failure for a period of 3 to 5 years after it's installed.
I think it's a lot of people out there listening to you, Carlos.
Thank you, Mike.
Hold. I must have misheard that. You said that the film helps prevent the glass from being like if a pebble or something hits the glass. Does it help prevent those little breakage?
Well, that's another part of it. I think Mike's question was what happens with dual pane windows, and is it safe to put film on there? In other words, are we going to damage that window by putting tint? There's a lot of misconception. You think, well, you tint the windows. Some window manufacturer will actually void your warranty if you put tint on windows because they're afraid that homeowners might go to Home Depot and buy the wrong kind of film, and they can cause a problem. But that's the reason you want to call either myself or another company that's going to recommend the right type of product for there. There are films that there are designed for glass breakage. We haven't touched on security films. We were talking about security for all these places. I've been very fortunate to work with a lot of the school systems, a lot of school districts in all of San Diego County now. We're putting dark one-way film in all the classrooms in a lot of these schools now, in case we get that one person, that you'd mentioned. I don't know what term to place it, but some person, some crazy, right?
Right, some nutcase,
Right,
right.
some nutcase comes into a school. There's several schools in the area that we've applied a dark reflective film. Not only does it give the kids privacy because they're instructed now to duck and lay down on the ground in case they do have an emergency, but that glass now is actually held in place. If bullets do shoot, it's not a bullet proof, but it will absorb the impact of that bullet and quite possibly can deflect the bullet.
It's
And
shatterproof, right?
Shatterproof.
Yeah.
If the glass breaks, it keeps that glass in place, so it's not going to shatter right in. If it's a doorway, he's not going to just be able to come in through that entryway. It'll stop him and slow him down. There's videos out there that show the amount of time for them to come through a glass with safety and security film. I mean, the police will be there by then and take this guy down.
Right. So, and also, I guess it's the type of film that the person outside can't see in, but the person inside can see out.
That is correct. One way, just like one-way glass. And this security film comes in a clear film, the way we talked about clear film, if you want a clear film for transparency, or you're looking for a privacy film with that security aspect in terms for schools. So it works really well.
Does that work for homes too?
It absolutely does.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just the regular films that we use will, you'll take a tempered glass in case it ever breaks, say your sliding glass door at home. If that glass accidentally gets broken, it'll shatter down to the ground, or somebody tries to break into your house, that glass just falls to the ground, they walk right in and open up the door. This film, if they break the glass, it holds the glass in place. It laminates that glass. They have to push and barrel through it. By that time, with an alarm system or you've made enough noise, there's going to be a deterrent, or the police department is there by then.
It's fantastic. All right.
Well, Carlos, just a couple of more questions for you before we go to break. And let's talk about the future of window tinting. Because in the world today of business, you have to be innovative. And so where do you see the future going?
Oh, Mike, that's a great question. I know he was talking about that big question about the way the film lightens and darkens with the amount of light during the daytime and darkness. That is headed that way. I'm just waiting for that product to be tested and proven before I can introduce it to my customers. I have to be convinced before I start to sell it to my customers, but that is a really good product that's coming out. There's another product, the future. You talk about the future. We're inside of a studio now. I'm looking up at a monitor that tells me the clock and the day of time. Well, there's a film that's called now Casper cloaking. We could apply the film to this window to looking out to the hallway, and it looks like a tinted film. You can see in and out of it, and they could see us in here in the room. But if we had some delicate information up here that we're trying to just keep between a meeting here, you could not see that. It cloaks the screen. The screen to them would look like if it's turned off. So that's one
Wow.
innovation that's really cool now. We're actually installing that next week in Carlsbad for a corporate office.
So now we get to keep all the secrets that looks like they can get out, but they can't, right?
They can't. They're really struggling with what do we do with just covering this window? They're going to ruin the aesthetics of their interior offices. So what they've done is considered, and now they're going with this cloaking material. And they can talk about everybody's payroll. That's what they have in that big meeting room. And they don't want to share that with the other employees.
Uh-huh. And so last but not least, your competition. Who do you see as your competition in this particular field?
Mike, I have to say there's several very large companies in the area that are just in my neighborhood. I don't consider them competition.
Okay.
I call on them. They call on me for materials. Sometimes we're in a bind. We help each other out. And I have a lot of times where they can't get to an appointment and they'll send it to me. I think my biggest competition would be myself. If I ever lose that integrity, the way I run business, and I lose the passion to have my employees continue to strive to be the best every day, that would be my competition.
You sound so humble, man.
I'm being just
You're
honest,
choking
Mike.
me up, man.
I'm just being really sincere, Mike.
So how do you perform oversight on your jobs? Do you check to see if the job is done? You have that type of confidence in your installers that you don't need to go behind them, or how do you do any type of oversight?
Yeah, I do. Actually, when I bring someone on, I'm bringing them on and I'm hiring them, and I let them know I'm hiring you. I may not know you very well, so that means I trust you 100%. It's up to you if I'm not going to trust you 100% weeks from now, if I only trust you maybe 80%. So I put a lot of trust in my employees, and I found that they strive more. They don't want to hear us saying, "Hey, we got that call about this car you just did yesterday, and there's some bubbles, or there's some contamination, or there's some defects in there. You got to go back out there." And they don't like to hear that. I have some employees that take a lot of pride, and
Let me ask you this, and you may not want to answer it, but a lot of people want to know what type of a salary or what type of how much would an installer make per hour for a career so that they and you can give a ballpark. You don't have to
sure.
give out proprietary information regarding how much you pay your employees. But a person who who's entry level and one who's an installer, what range of salary could they make?
Sure, entry level, starting right from the get-go, coming in without having any idea, but they want to come over here as long as they, they have a driver's license for me. They seem like they're upstanding kids. I start them, somewhere in that minimum range. They start as minimum wage, excuse
Okay.
me. Uh, but installers will quickly. I have an installer that's earning $30 an hour, and I also give them a 10% commission on whatever they sell. So there's quite a bit to be made.
I'm still available.
No, Doug, we got to keep you in the law.
No, that's excellent. That's good to know because a lot of people, a lot of kids or young people, they're not going to college these days, but can understand that they can make a very, very nice living doing something that shows professionalism and they can take pride into it and it's something that they can do. So you think this field is a growing field that some young people, men and women, I assume, can get involved in?
Absolutely. This has been actually, there's a lot of young kids that have been with me, and they've been able to buy their own homes, their cars, and raise families with the wages they've earned with me. And they'll go on to move other areas, or they'll go on to another company, but they're making a very good living for themselves.
Okay, before we go to break, tell us a little bit about how they can get in touch with you, where's your company located. Give a little shout out to your company.
Yeah, absolutely. So my company again is Solar Care, and that company name came up with solar because of the sun, and care because I cared. Nothing to do with solar protection as we were discussing. But the email you can reach me is Laney. It's LAN as in Nancy EY period Carlos CARLOS 349 at gmail.com. You can email me there if you're interested in perhaps a position in the company. I am looking for salespeople as well. The best office phone number is area code 760-519-9250.
Say that one more time, Carlos.
The phone number 760-519-9250. And the email address is Laney, Laney, period, Carlos, CARLOS 349 at gmail.com.
All right.
All right, well, we'll take a quick break and come back with the final moments here with Law and Money with attorney Doug Oden and financial advisor Michael Allen.
Have you been in a car accident? Bill collectors hounding you? About to lose your house? Your car? If so, you need to contact the law offices of Oden and Green, San Diego's oldest African American law firm. For over 35 years, the law offices of Oden and Green have provided quality legal services for the community. They pride themselves in giving each and every client individual attention. They are located at 701 B Street, Suite 540 in downtown San Diego. Call them now at 619-702-0800. That's 619-702-0800. At Oden and Green, experience matters. Si habla español.
On Saturday, August 24th, the boat will rock on the beautiful shoreline of San Diego's Bay Arena with the 6th annual Bayside Gospel Concert aboard the Midway, presented by BBVA. Don't miss another urban worship experience.
With headliner Brett Jones, Cheryl Thomas Fortune, Dante, Shantae Atkins, Tribe Worship, Robert Earl Dean, and you.
Tickets selling now for the Urban Worship Experience. Go to mandaterecords.ticketleap.com or call 858-650-3190. That's Saturday, August 24th at 7:30 p.m. Bayside Gospel Concert aboard the Midway.
On the flight deck under the stars. Get your tickets now at mandaterecords.ticketleap.com. A portion of the proceeds will benefit Mandate Project Impact's Youth Employment Training Program and San Diego Food Bank's Military Outreach Program.
Don't miss Bayside Gospel Concert aboard the Midway. For more information, call 858-650-3190. You've got to be there.
Problems, saving,
Not enough.
taxes,
Too much.
retirement,
Will it happen?
investments,
Which ones are right for me?
insurance.
How will I build my legacy?
At Allen Financial Advisement, we provide solutions to your problems. Allen Financial Advisement is a full-service financial planning firm that offers financial help just where you need it. We can help make you smarter. Allen Financial Advisement provides financial advice with an educational emphasis. Get the answers by calling us at area code 858-964-2309 or visiting us on the web at ALLEN-financial-ADVISEMENT.com. That's AllenFinancialAdvisement.com. We offer financial advice with an educational emphasis.
Securities and investment advisory services offered through Woodbury Financial Services, Inc., member FINRA, SIPC, and registered investment advisor Allen Financial Advisement and Woodbury Financial Services, Inc. are not affiliated.
Welcome back to Law and Money. We're in our final moments with businessman Carlos Laney.
Doug, we're not dying now.
We're not dying, but we're
Final
Our
moment.
final
the
moments.
final moments of this show.
I got you, Doug.
And we want to thank him because this hour moved very fast, and we appreciate you coming on, educating us as to the business of car tinting and window tinting in general. And we wish you continued success. You're a fantastic role model, and you're a tribute to some. So those who have qualms about people coming from other countries, realize that, hey, great people come from all over the planet, and if they work hard and they want to do the right thing, they make an incredible contribution to this country. So, that's something to think about, and we're so proud of you. Thank you once again for coming on our show. Michael, what you want to say?
That's my main man, Carlos Laney. His reputation speaks for itself. And, just a few notes is don't ever change, because one of the things I always tell Carlos, he says, Mike, what do you want me to do? I say, man, you just be you. And by being you, that's what made your business a success. And when you have a success, it's often hard to duplicate it, but it's never hard to imitate it. So just keep it up, my friend.
I'm
Keep
blessed
it
to
up.
be with friends like you.
All right.
Thank
you very much. We'll be back in a few minutes with our second guest on Law and Money.
Problems, saving,
Not enough.
taxes,
Too much.
retirement,
Will it happen?
investments,
Which ones are right for me?
insurance.
How will I build my legacy?
At Allen Financial Advisement, we provide solutions to your problems. Allen Financial Advisement is a full-service financial planning firm that offers financial help just where you need it. We can help make you smarter. Allen Financial Advisement provides financial advice with an educational emphasis. Get the answers by calling us at area code 858-964-2309 or visiting us on the web at ALLEN-financial-ADVISEMENT.com. That's AllenFinancialAdvisement.com. We offer financial advice with an educational emphasis.
Securities and investment advisory services offered through Woodbury Financial Services, Inc., member FINRA, SIPC, and registered investment advisor Allen Financial Advisement and Woodbury Financial Services, Inc. are not affiliated.
Have you been in a car accident? Bill collectors hounding you? About to lose your house? Your car? If so, you need to contact the law offices of Oden and Green, San Diego's oldest African-American law firm. For over 35 years, the law offices of Oden and Green have provided quality legal services for the community. They pride themselves in giving each and every client individual attention. They are located at 701 B Street, Suite 540 in downtown San Diego. Call them now at 619-702-0800. That's 619-702-0800. 0800. At Oden and Green, experience matters. Si habla español.
On Saturday, August 24th, the boat will rock on the beautiful shoreline of San Diego's Bay Arena with the 6th annual Bayside Gospel Concert aboard the Midway, presented by BBVA. Don't miss another urban worship experience.
With headliner Brett Jones, Cheryl Thomas Fortune, Dante, Shantae Atkins, Tribe Worship, Robert Earl Dean, and you.
Tickets selling now for the urban worship experience. Go to mandaterecords.ticketleaf.com or call 858-650-3190. That's Saturday, August 24th at 7:30 p.m. Bayside Gospel Concert aboard the Midway.
On the flight deck under the stars. Get your tickets now at mandaterecords.ticketleaf.com. A portion of the proceeds will benefit Mandate Project Impact's Youth Employment Training Program and San Diego Food Bank's Military Outreach Program.
Don't miss Bayside Gospel Concert aboard the Midway. For more information, call 858-650-3190. You've got to be there.
There's that train.
Hey, San Diego, it's your boy, Tony with Men for Christ. Listen, we'll be celebrating 10 years of ministry and music, and we would like for all of you to be there. It's going to be Saturday, September the 21st at 6 p.m. at the New Creation Church. We will have special music guests, Camellia Bell, Full Gospel Ensemble, the New Creation Choir, Arissa Nicole, the Divine Praise Dancers, and Chris White. Don't miss this milestone of music and ministry. It's our 10-year celebration. It's been a long time and a long journey, and we want you guys to join us. That's going to be Saturday, September the 21st at 6 p.m., the New Creation Church. That address is 3115 Altadena Avenue in the city of San Diego. For more information, please call 858-367-3343. Tickets are $15 in advance and $20 at the door. To secure your ticket for this event or for more information, please call 858-367-3343, or you can call me at 619-843-7086, and I may give you a discount. We want to see you there, San Diego. God bless.
Welcome back to our second hour of Law and Money with attorney Douglas Oden and financial advisor Michael Allen. We have a very special guest, a good friend of mine who's an attorney. I've known her for a number of years. She has her own law firm, Schillinger Law, and she practices in the area of estate planning. Our next guest is Lon Schillinger. Lon, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
Good, good. You know, you have an incredible history. Your life story is something that made-for-TV movies are all about. Tell us a little bit about your journey in life and how the events got you here to the U.S.
Okay. So I was born in Vietnam during the war, and Operation Baby Lift was the military evacuation of the Amerasian children out of Vietnam before the fall. And I was one of them. I was born a little south of the border, north-south Vietnamese border, and in a little town called Quan Tri. And I came over when I was 3.5, but I'm skipping something. I know he's giving me this look. Well, I was on the first plane that crashed. And so I was one of a few survivors. There were about 127 of us that did survive. The others didn't. We were on a cargo plane evacuating out of Vietnam. And what was really neat about it is that I'll never meet my biological parents, but my name, Luan Kim Tran T, it means golden bird, and it's the phoenix that rises out of the ashes. So names mean so much to me because you instill something when you name somebody. And so my mom and God, in many ways, I'm super blessed to be here.
Right. I mean, the angels were watching over you folks, the odds of surviving an airplane crash are slim and none. And for you to have been, how old were you when that plane crashed?
3.5.
3.5 years old. God takes care of babies. And we're so thankful that the good Lord watched over you and decided to spare you so you could come to America. So when you
And be
got,
on our show, Doug. This is
yeah,
the original Destiny's Child right here.
that's right. So when you got to America, were you an orphan? How's that?
I wasn't adopted.
Okay.
Actually, my adopted parents, their little girl died in the crash, and they got a call saying there's this bald-headed little kid, 3-year-old. She's a little upset right now because she just went through a plane crash. Do you want her? And they said, of course. And so they picked me up. I, I was in San Francisco at the Presidio, and I'm blessed enough to be raised in Marin County, Northern California. Amazing family.
Okay. So what decided to make you go into the field of law?
You know, there are many of us adoptees that I see what a common theme is the desire to give back and to recognize that we're blessed and we're given an opportunity of life. And so my first endeavor actually was uh, social work and went from social work to pre law, helped start a children's law center in Hawaii and realized that that was my passion and I needed to get to law school. So that was the journey.
You
Yeah.
make it sound so modest, but that's a tremendous undertaking to give back to kids, because we see so many people and it's all about me, me, me. And what was that inner drive in you that made you want to give something back to children?
The drive is the fact that, you know, little you see those commercials that's, donate some money to these kids. I was one of them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I grew up for the first 3.5 years in an orphanage, three different ones, and it was the hearts and the love of people that I didn't even know, faceless people that donated money and time and even died for us to get us out of Vietnam. And so I have a strong passion of wanting to give back because of that.
Have you ever had the opportunity to go back?
I did. I went back in 96. Um, 18 of us adoptees went back with our parents, and it was an amazing experience. We were able to go and visit the crash site, and we also realized that we were home for the first time. I kind of was worried that because I didn't necessarily look Vietnamese, that I may be rejected. Uh, Identity is a big thing when you're in your early 20s, and so when I went back there and they said, "Welcome home," I felt it was amazing.
So explain, look Vietnamese.
Well,
Inquiring minds want to know, Luan.
well, so many people know that they see me and they say that I'm mixed with something, but they're not exactly sure what the mix is. And then on top of it, um, growing up, my adopted parents were Caucasian,
Mm-hmm.
and I grew up in a predominantly white neighborhood. I was actually the only African American kid, but I didn't know that. There wasn't any color lines where I grew up.
Were you colorblind? No, women can't be colorblind.
Exactly, exactly. It was really when I hit high school years that that I experienced, oh, there is a difference, unfortunately. And so because of that, you know, if someone's questioning you whether you're black, and then they're questioning you, then what are you? And then you go to the motherland, and the
Mm-hmm.
fear is that you go where you were born, and them saying that you're not from there. And that was the opposite. When I got there, they just embraced all of us and said, "Thank you for coming home."
Now, were you the only um, person that didn't look like they were Vietnamese?
No, when you get all of us adoptees together,
Uh-huh.
we figured it out.
Oh, okay.
So there was a lot of folks that had maybe fathers were African
Yes.
American, and then the moms was Vietnamese. Uh, were you orphaned because of the war? Because the parents were ostracized because they had a mixed race child?
Well, what's interesting is when we were there, 48 Hours did a story on me. So I actually was blessed enough to have a camera crew with me. And because of the camera crew and the story, they found the crash site, etc. The other side of that is that it drew some attention. And they did tell us, adoptees, on our way over there, just to be cautious because people may want to say that they claim you. And when I was in Quan Tri, my little town that I was born in, a gentleman approached me and said that he recognized me and that I stayed with his mother, he and his brother and his mom. And my mom was there and she got injured, according to him. And because she was injured, she left for Saigon to handle whatever, but it never came back. And his mom was a single mom already of two boys, and in the culture, it was frowned upon to be a single mother. And so it was going to be too much for her to take care of me, and me being a mixed race, which we stood out. Um, it was going to be a hard life. And so she dropped me off at the orphanage.
Okay. Well, that's an incredible saga. Now you said you were on a what type of show was that? 60,
It's
48
48 hours.
48 hours?
yeah.
Mhm.
When was that? How long ago was that?
96.
Okay. So we can go into the archives and pull that up?
I have it, yeah.
You have it?
Mhm.
Okay. Fantastic. That's incredible. But your journey from one part of the planet to America, and then your journey through law, and now you're an estate planning attorney.
Yes, I am.
Okay. Well, look, we'll take a quick break, and we'll come back. We're going to talk about what you do as an estate planning attorney.
Sounds good.
Wow.
Have you been in a car accident? Bill collectors hounding you? About to lose your house? Your car? If so, you need to contact the law offices of Oden and Green, San Diego's oldest African American law firm. For over 35 years, the law offices of Oden and Green have provided quality legal services for the community. They pride themselves in giving each and every client individual attention. They are located at 701 B Street, Suite 540 in downtown San Diego. Call them now at 619 702 0800. That's 619 702 0800. At Oden and Green, experience matters. Si habla español.
On Saturday, August 24th, the boat will rock on the beautiful shoreline of San Diego's Bay Arena with the 6th annual Bayside Gospel Concert aboard the Midway, presented by BBVA. Don't miss another urban worship experience.
With headliner Brent Jones, Cheryl Thomas Fortune, Dante, Shantae Atkins, Tribe Worship, Robert Earl Dean, and you.
Tickets selling now for the urban worship experience. Go to mandaterecords.ticketleap.com or call 858-650-3190. That's Saturday, August 24th at 7:30 p.m. Bayside Gospel Concert aboard the Midway.
On the flight deck under the stars. Get your tickets now at mandaterecords.ticketleap.com. A portion of the proceeds will benefit Mandate Project Impact's Youth Employment Training Program and San Diego Food Bank's Military Outreach Program.
Don't miss Bayside Gospel Concert aboard the Midway. For more information, call 858-650-3190. You've got to be there.
Problems, saving,
Not enough.
taxes,
Too much.
retirement,
Will it happen?
investments,
Which ones are right for me?
insurance.
How will I build my legacy?
At Allen Financial Advisement, we provide solutions to your problems. Allen Financial Advisement is a full-service financial planning firm that offers financial help just where you need it. We can help make you smarter. Allen Financial Advisement provides financial advice with an educational emphasis. Get the answers by calling us at area code 858-964-2309 or visiting us on the web at ALLEN financial.com. That's AllenFinancialAdvisement.com. We offer financial advice with an educational emphasis.
Securities and investment advisory services offered through Woodbury Financial Services, Inc., member FINRA, SIPC, and registered investment advisor Allen Financial Advisement and Woodbury Financial Services, Inc. are not affiliated.
Welcome back to Law and Money with attorney Douglas Oden and financial advisor Michael Allen. Our guest tonight for the second hour is attorney Lon Schillinger of Schillinger Law. Now, you're a probate attorney. And, probate, I think, is a very important segment of law. I do personal injury, and I shied away from probate because I thought it was a little bit onerous, but let's put it that way. And I admire folks who take the time to do that. But estate planning is more than just probate. Tell us, in terms of for those who aren't too familiar with estate planning, when would a person need a will, and when would a person need a living trust?
Okay, so a lot of people think that estate planning is just about actually a will and trust, but there is so much more. You need your power of attorney, you need your advanced healthcare directive, and your trust and your will. And the idea behind it is that you are empowering somebody to speak on your behalf. And so that's why it's so super important to include a power of attorney and advanced healthcare directive in your estate plan. And to answer your question, when do you need it? My daughter just turned 18, and I immediately got a power of attorney in place for her because she's an adult. I am not entitled to her information, HIPAA, and all this, confidentiality. And I also had her sign a advanced healthcare directive because I want to know what her wishes are. And again, I want to be able to speak on her behalf. And then she said, "Mom, really, do I need a will?" And we never know what's going to happen. And so having things in place as early as 18 is just to start to make sure that you're allowed, or you as a parent or a loved one, you can help somebody else legally.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the power of attorney. What does the power of attorney do for the person who receives the power of attorney, and does that in any way inhibit the person who gives the power of attorney?
So there are two different kinds of power of attorney. There is immediate and a springing, and most people get a springing power of attorney, which enables somebody speaking on their behalf. And for example, they would be able to access confidential information on behalf of the person. Excuse me. They would also be able to find out if they have enough insurance. If they don't, they can get insurance for you, what your benefits are. It's super important to have this document. And the benefit behind having that is that if you do not have a power of attorney in place, and which means that you don't have someone that can legally speak on your behalf, if you're an adult, you have to go to court, and it's that probate court that you just mentioned earlier.
Right. Now, you use the term springing. That assumes that it springs into effect upon a certain event. I guess there are some power of attorneys that can take place immediately, and that person can speak on behalf of the person that gave them the power of attorney at that time, or there's those that go into effect when that person becomes incapacitated. Is that correct?
Right. It's the incapacitation aspect that is the springing part. Either two doctors will say that you're not able to take care of your affairs and you need someone to legally represent you through the power of attorney, or courts involved through a conservatorship or a guardianship.
Okay. Now, if I give a power of attorney, let's say I gave it to Michael, and
I'm
now,
driving a new Chrysler.
now does that stop me from making decisions? And just because Michael has my power of attorney, does that prevent me from handling my own business?
No, not at all. Yeah, you can have your power of attorney and you can have someone having an active power of attorney. So then you don't have to go through the getting two doctors to say that you're incapacitated or getting court involved. They could actually help you immediately.
Right. No, I think it's important for, especially for people as they age, because a lot of folks, things can happen. You can get a heart attack, a stroke, and the family doesn't know where how you're going to pay the bills, how you're going to get that Social Security check cashed or whatever, how to access someone's checking account to pay bills. So I think that's one of the very important reasons to have a power of attorney.
You just brought up a big thing that I love talking to people about. So there are many times in situations where someone puts their child on the bank account with them. And the idea is that should anything happen, they would be able to continue their affairs. The problem with regard to that is that if you put your kid on your bank account, they have an ownership right now.
Hmm.
They are co-owners. And so if you want to do anything with your account from that point on, you have to ask your kid for permission. And that's why a power of attorney is in place, because what it does is it gives them authority to help you, but it does not give them an ownership right. It's a huge thing.
Right. And so you would recommend that all adults should have a power of attorney. And now, for those in the audience, what would a power of attorney cost?
Would it by itself?
Just by itself. Just say, I don't want anything else. Just give me a power of attorney.
Wait,
That's it for now.
we're gonna
We're gonna do
piecemeal it.
this.
That's what I
Yeah,
hear. We're gonna do a little
Sounds
this,
a
a
little
little
a la
that.
carte,
a little
huh?
a la carte. That's right.
A power of attorney, it's probably, a couple hundred.
Okay, sure.
So now, tell me this. I'll get you off the hook there, kid.
I know, right?
We asked
No,
a tough question.
you can get it for substantially less. But this is the thing. Let's make this clear. You it's super important to be invested in the documents that you have and know what you have. And filling out a form and just filling out the blanks, it's like not everybody has the same shoe size. And what you pay for is the ability that if it becomes an issue, if it's challenged, it's going to stand up in court. That's the cost.
That's the key because I understand exactly where you're coming from because they have all of these online document factories. And so now, if something happens, you want to trust it to a true professional. Am I correct?
Correct.
Yeah, you don't want LegalZoom taking care of all your legal affairs. And I have a quick question for you because, I was talking to some people earlier today regarding estate planning. Now, here's the scenario. You have a blended family, and there's a lot of blended families here in San Diego and in California in general. The husband and wife are traveling on a plane, and God forbid they die. Which one died first? Because the plane crashed.
Which one died first?
Yeah, because see,
According to estate planning?
yes, according to estate planning. If they go down, if they die a simultaneous death, having that living trust is in place is important, but, depending on the situation, is there an order of death?
It really depends
Uh,
because in blended families, I see most of them have each their own estate plan.
hmm
They have their own trust. And so the terms in the trust would say that if the trustee or the settler and, which is the creator, and the beneficiary die at the same time, settler survives. And the reason being is we want your estate plan to continue.
Okay. And so now, the other scenario that you brought to mind was there was a gentleman up in Escondido, and I was talking to him, trying to get him to get an estate plan in place, and he decided that he didn't want to pay the money to get an estate plan. So he decided, okay, well, the only thing of value I have is my home. So he put his son on title to his home. His son was involved in an automobile accident. And so the limits of his insurance coverage, of his auto coverage, didn't cover the value, I'm sorry, the expense of the accident.
Mhm.
So now he owns a home, and he owns the home not only with his son, but with someone else
Right, right.
because they now have claim to that asset that they put him on. So with a scenario like that in mind, what do you tell people when they talk to you about the value of an estate plan?
What I say is, again, the more that you invest in it.
hmm
So, for example, I have a probate matter right now that is being challenged. It's a will, and it's a basic will, and it's being challenged in court right at this moment because, one of the two children is not necessarily happy with it, right?
hmm
And that's how we ended up in probate court. The problem with the will, in many ways, is that it was filled out without anybody else. They filled the will out. And so
When
they
you
never,
say they, who is the they?
the person who, the decedent now,
Okay.
filled out the will and didn't really talk to anybody about it. And so no one talk, can attest to what her thoughts were, et cetera. She just filled in the blanks. And that doesn't give the court any meat. Does that make sense?
Sure, it's called testamentary intent. What was the intent of the person who made the will? And a lot of times you have situations where if a person doesn't use professional advice and they leave it up to the courts to interpret, they made this rule the will invalid, and the person dies what they call intestate or without a will. And then there's just certain rules that the statute uh, makes up how the property gets distributed. So that's why it's very important to have a will and to have it updated by an attorney. A lot of folks are a penny wise and a pound foolish. They say, I don't want to pay that $150 to go see an attorney or whatever. And then, but you have a, $200,000 asset that you're afraid to spend $150 to make sure that is right. I've seen so many cases where you have people who die or they're on their deathbed and they call you up, can you get a will done now? And the person's barely competent to say their own name or less have any testimony intent. So, you sometimes tell folks, look, it's a little late. We'll try, we'll talk to them and see if they have the capacity to understand what's going on. But a lot of times it's just too late. So, we tell folks, get a will while all your faculties are there. Don't wait till the last minute because sometimes you never know when that last minute comes.
And also keep in mind that if your estate is over $150,000, a will is not sufficient. And when I say that is because if you have a will and your estate is more than $150,000, that will is considered a mere nomination. And you will still have to go to court and file a request for letters testamentary in the probate world. And so a lot of people, wills are good for it. It just depends on their circumstances. But if you own a home, you need a trust.
Okay. Now let's take a quick break because I want to come back and talk a little bit more about that because that was some new news to me. We with Law and Money with attorney Doug Oden.
Small estate probate,
I'm
Doug.
telling you. And Michael Allen with our special guest, Lon Schillinger.
Have you been in a car accident? Bill collectors hounding you? About to lose your house? Your car? If so, you need to contact the law offices of Oden and Green, San Diego's oldest African-American law firm. For over 35 years, the law offices of Oden and Green have provided quality legal services for the community. They pride themselves in giving each and every client individual attention. They are located at 701 B Street, Suite 540 in downtown San Diego. Call them now at 619-702-0800. That's 619-702-0800. At Oden and Green, experience matters. Si habla español.
On Saturday, August 24th, the boat will rock on the beautiful shoreline of San Diego's Bay Arena with the 6th annual Bayside Gospel Concert aboard the Midway, presented by BBVA. Don't miss another urban worship experience.
With headliner Brett Jones, Cheryl Thomas Fortune, Dante, Shantae Atkins, Tribe Worship, Robert Earl Dean, and you.
Tickets selling now for the urban worship experience. Go to mandaterecords.ticketleaf.com or call 858-650-3190. That's Saturday, August 24th at 7:30 p.m. Bayside Gospel Concert aboard the Midway.
On the flight deck under the stars. Get your tickets now at mandaterecords.ticketleaf.com. A portion of the proceeds will benefit Mandate Project Impact's Youth Employment Training Program and San Diego Food Bank's Military Outreach Program.
Don't miss Bayside Gospel Concert aboard the Midway. For more information, call 858-650-3190. You've got to be there.
Problems, saving,
Not enough.
taxes,
Too much.
retirement,
Will it happen?
investments,
Which ones are right for me?
insurance.
How will I build my legacy?
At Allen Financial Advisement, we provide solutions to your problems. Allen Financial Advisement is a full-service financial planning firm that offers financial help just where you need it. We can help make you smarter. Allen Financial Advisement provides financial advice with an educational emphasis. Get the answers by calling us at area code 858-964-2309 or visiting us on the web at ALLEN-financial-ADVISEMENT.com. That's AllenFinancialAdvisement.com. We offer financial advice with an educational emphasis.
Securities and investment advisory services offered through Woodbury Financial Services, Inc., member FINRA, SIPC, and registered investment advisor Allen Financial Advisement and Woodbury Financial Services, Inc. are not affiliated.
Welcome back to Law and Money with attorney Doug Oden and financial advisor Michael Allen, our special guest, Lon Schillinger. We're talking about probate, folks, and she made an interesting point just before the break regarding wills under or estates under $150,000. So, kind of explain that again. So, let's say if I have a will and I don't have much. I have a car and maybe a little bank account and stuff, and it doesn't total up to more than $150,000 when I die, and let's say my wife has the will. What can she do with the will?
So that's a small estate, and she'll be able to fill something out called a small estate affidavit, and it's a declaration that pretty much the assets are under a certain amount of money, and then she's going to take that to the bank, and the bank will she'll have to wait 45 days, and then she can withdraw money from the bank, and she'll be able to use the will as a means to distribute the estate, whatever was left.
Okay, so with that situation, there's no probate, no need to file,
Nope.
no notice to creditors. Maybe,
No,
well, okay.
you need to notice creditors. You don't want a creditor to be on the other side where they actually file against you.
Okay, so how is that done? In other words, we're talking small estate now, good people. So if it's a $150,000 estate, someone dies, you fill out the affidavit. Does how does that individual know that you have to inform creditors, and how do you know who the creditors are?
Well, since I ended up doing probate, I end up going through people's mail and I end up looking at statements. If I see automatic deposits in, maybe there's a pension, maybe there's or I see automatic withdrawals. So the thing about probate, the problem is that you have to recreate the person. But in your situation, that was a wife who had a husband and that's the husband passed away. So she should know where the bills are coming from. Noticing the franchise tax board, the IRS, making sure that there aren't any taxes due on the estate, and also the Department of Health.
So even in those small estates, sound like they may need to seek some professional advice because that, number one, you're grieving because of the loss, and number two, you just may not have the skills to do those sort of things.
I recommend getting some help. At least get a consultation and have that attorney walk you through the steps. And then at that point, if you feel comfortable that you can continue, then go.
Okay. Now, how about the situation where a person owns a home and their estate is more than $150,000? Let's say let's do the two scenarios. Number one, they just I don't want to spend $1,500 or $2,000 for a living trust. Just give me a will. Now, if that person, you say, okay, that's what you want. So they have a will. How does that differ when that person passes from a living trust? What will happen to that person's estate?
It will go into probate, and someone will. The issue is that once that person passes away, who has the authority to transfer title to the house and do distribution? Because that person's passed, they can't sign a document, right? And so they're going to have to go. A family member or a friend is going to have to file a petition in court requesting that they be assigned a representative, the administrator of the estate. And once they get the letters and get approved, which is not a quick task and it's costly, once they get those documents, then they can start administrating the estate. But part of our job when when someone passes away is to make sure that their estate, the bills are paid, and the rightful beneficiaries are receiving the gifts that are left.
Right. When folks die and, all of a sudden people start coming out of the woodwork and they start going through, let me go through grandma's house and let me start taking stuff out and that grandma wanted me to have that. How does one prevent the the estate from being looted basically when someone dies?
By creating a trust, there's a there are two ways of looking at a trust. The first thing is that, again, we go back to the empowering, giving somebody authority to be able to take care of your estate, do the distributions, etc. But then the other thing is that your trust should be an inventory. So you, at the end of your trust document, there's something called the schedule of assets, and in that is where you list your personal belongings, etc. But you shouldn't stop there. In your portfolio, if there are items that you want to make sure that your loved ones get or somebody it belongs to them, etc., that's where you place it. And you should put everything in one wonderful place for it. It's like the best gift you can give somebody is to be organized.
Absolutely, because there's so many times when a person dies, number one, they can't find the trust. They don't know where it is. And number two, if you don't know where it is and you can't find it, then how can you prove you had one? How do you prove that the person who made the trust didn't decide, well, never mind, I'm going to tear it up or burn it up?
Right. So that is a really good question. To backtrack on what
Sure.
is a trust, okay, and why is it so important? Trusts are valuable because of the continuity aspect of it. It's like you've incorporated yourself. You are now naming your officers. And once you name your officers through operation of law, they actually step in your shoes and continue the administration of your estate. They just continue, things keep on going versus and and after you create a trust, a lot of people unfortunately trip at the finish line and they don't transfer their items into the trust because that's the key. You've now named an officer, somebody who can represent your estate and take care of your estate, but you need to transfer your items into the trust so then they can manage it because they only have authority over the trust property. They do not have authority over anything that's actually in your name alone.
So if you don't transfer that car, you don't transfer that house into the living trust. You could have a living trust, but there's nothing in it.
Right.
So it's not even worth the paper it's written on if you don't uh, put the items into the property. And that's why it's important to have a trust attorney because that individual is going to tell you, look, we need to transfer the property. We need to put your bank accounts into the trust. We need to make sure, if you have life insurance, it, that it's proper, that goes by contract as
Mhm.
opposed to into the living trust. But you make sure that they have all of those things in order, and it gives them peace of mind.
Exactly.
Now, can we detour for 1 second? Because, I know some of the challenges that estate planning attorneys run into is the true cost of an estate plan.
Hmm.
Is that correct?
Yes.
And so now, I saw some recent literature that the estate costs or probate costs average about 5% of the gross estate. Is that correct?
Yes. You can say that the base cost for a probate is about $14,000.
14,000. Wow.
Whoa.
And so it's the gross amount, correct?
Hmm.
And so if it's the gross amount, say you own a home and that home isn't paid for, but it's worth $700,000, huh? And that percentage is the percentage of the value of the home. Is that correct?
So when we're looking at the value of a estate, we do
Hmm.
not consider debt.
You don't consider debt. You just, whoa.
Nope. So it's the value of the house if we could put it on the market, not the debt
Hmm.
that's attached to it.
Wow. So it's something for people to really consider. Do I pay the probate costs or do I get the living trust?
I also think that people don't understand how amazing a trust can potentially be. Think about it in the aspect of if you have someone with special needs, if you have a child that is
Hmm.
on disability, your trust, you can create a subtrust for them so they will inherit from you. However, they will not lose their benefits because if
Hmm.
you're on disability, you're not allowed to have more than $2,000 in your account. And so if your parent passes away and you're about to inherit all this money, yeah, it may be able to pay for your disability costs for a couple years, but the when you weigh the benefit of being able to get state disability, we need to be able to protect our children. So, for example, I had a client who she owned a couple properties, and she had two kids, and her daughter has special needs, and her son's going to inherit a whole bunch of money. So she felt bad her daughter's not going to be able to do this because of her disability. But what we did was we created an endowment fund for her. And so she now has a scholarship at her old college in her name. And so there are ways that you can empower, your children. The other thing is that you can create sub-trust trust for your grandchildren. I mean, there's just so many things there are so many things you can do with this. It's just, uh, it's all about talking to a trust attorney who can kind of open that
Right.
up.
And just, I mean, if you think about the cost between probate and a living trust, it's incredible. If you're talking, if you own a home that's worth $500,000 and you don't have a living trust, you're just giving money to the state. Unless you like to give money to the state, you're just giving money away because that's a lot of money. Because the probate fees are by statute. And now the executor makes a little bit
Hmm.
if you have an executor, and the attorney makes a little bit. But those fees and the time it takes for the property to get distributed is incredible. And if you have a probate, if you have a living trust, you avoid court intervention unless someone, I guess, wants to bring a legal action against the trust. Other than that, the courts aren't involved. Is that correct?
Correct.
And that, and if you ever been to court, if you ever been to a probate court, it's like hurry up and wait,
Right.
because you got to remember there's 2 million people in San Diego County, and there are only so many probate and how many probate judges. There's a handful,
Hmm.
maybe 5, maybe 10, maybe less. So you have all these estates at the same time, and you don't. And if you want to get a court date, it could be 3 or 4 months down the line. And if it's not, if your ducks aren't lined up, they're going to continue it for another 3 or 4 months, and everything just stays in limbo.
Right.
So you want to avoid probate at all costs.
You do. And, the stress emotionally. I mean, you are not able to have closure with regard to the passing of your loved ones because you're dealing with a court system and a stranger, an attorney that you may not know that's walking you through this and telling you you can and cannot do this because of certain laws, etc. So, it, our gift is to, you know, let our loved ones, just celebrate our life instead of.
What's the longest probate you've seen?
I've had a 3.5 year.
Wow,
Hmm.
that's a long time. Is it settled or is it still
It's
ongoing?
settled, and what was sad about it was that it could have been resolved a long time ago in the beginning. However, when you're dealing with also emotions and losing their loved one, and they decided to go against each other with different views, and at the end, it was split equally.
Wow. So, a lot of times we hear about estate horror stories. Can you share with us any of these horror stories that you've encountered or that I referred to you?
You know, I, one of them, a a nephew approached me and said, "Hey, my uncle just passed away. Can you help me out?" I thought, "Okay, there's a property here, simple." Come to find out that the house was not titled in the uncle's name, and actually it was titled in the grandmother's name, and so we had to probate.
Wait, 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 wait. This is one of those real, I put it in my mama's name.
Well, no, it's when Mama died, we
Uh-huh.
never transferred title,
Uh-huh.
and then 30 years later son dies, and since then, uh, the daughter died too. So now I went from thinking we were probate one estate, we had to probate three.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll tell you that the nephew cannot believe he's going through what he is because he thought it was he inherited a mess.
Were
Bottom
there
line,
were there other siblings?
there were other siblings, and unfortunately, even during the process, we lost one of them.
Wow.
Yeah. I can tell you the one probate that I did, one and only probate I did. An individual died and had a holographic will. For those who don't understand holograph, that means the person who died wrote out the will himself, and and what he did was he wanted to leave his estate to his 3 brothers, and in his holographic will, he named all three brothers. So that made the gift specific gifts to all three brothers. So if he had said, I give my estate to my brothers without naming them, the estate would have been divided up in three ways.
Uh-huh.
But when he said, I name them, and he named them, when one of them died, then his estate, then his heirs
Mhm.
started to take part of that estate. So rather than dividing the estate in three ways, you had to go out and find the heirs of his uncles and aunts and cousins and second cousins and third cousins and give them notice of the estate. And it turned into a mess. And I paid another probate attorney to take it off my hands. I said, no, thank you. I do not want it. Take all the money, take all the fees,
So
and
what's
here's
the
fifty
moral of the
dollars.
story, Doug? Don't mess with the brothers.
The moral of the story is get an attorney to draft you a will. Don't do it yourself because you may make a mistake which will drain your estate.
Yeah.
So, but let's take a break. We're going to come back and finish up with attorney Lon Schillinger, and you're with Law and Money on God Radio 1.
The San Diego Voice and Viewpoint newspaper is San Diego's oldest and largest African American publication. We bring you news for and about our community. Your stories matter to us. Thank you for allowing us to serve you for nearly 6 decades. Your support enables us to continue to forge ahead, informing you with news tailored to your needs. In addition to subscribing to our weekly publication, consider using Voice and Viewpoint to promote your business and events. Call us at 619-266-2233 or send an email to ads@sdvoice.info for details on how to get started. If you have advertising needs, contact us. Our prices are both fair and reasonable. Follow us on Facebook at www.facebook.com/Voice and Viewpoint or visit our website at www.sdvoice.info. Remember, a people without a voice cannot be heard. Have you been in a car accident? Bill collectors hounding you? About to lose your house? Your car? If so, you need to contact the law offices of Oden and Green, San Diego's oldest African American law firm. For over 35 years, the law offices of Oden and Green have provided quality legal services for the community. They pride themselves in giving each and every client individual attention. They are located at 701 B Street, Suite 540 in downtown San Diego. Call them now at 619-702-0800. That's 619-702-0800. At Oden and Green, experience matters. Si habla español.
Problems, saving,
Not enough.
taxes,
Too much.
retirement,
Will it happen?
investments,
Which ones are right for me?
insurance.
How will I build my legacy?
At Allen Financial Advisement, we provide solutions to your problem. Allen Financial Advisement is a full-service financial planning firm that offers financial help just where you need it. We can help make you smarter. Allen Financial Advisement provides financial advice with an educational emphasis. Get the answers by calling us at area code 858-964-2309 or visiting us on the web at ALLEN-financial.com. That's AllenFinancialAdvisement.com. We offer financial advice with an educational emphasis.
Securities and investment advisory services offered through Woodbury Financial Services, Inc., member FINRA, SIPC, and registered investment advisor Allen Financial Advisement and Woodbury Financial Services, Inc. are not affiliated.
Welcome back to Law and Money with attorney Douglas Oden, financial advisor Michael Allen, and our special guest, attorney Lon Schillinger. Let's talk a little bit about healthcare directives. For the uninitiated, that's situations where a document's prepared to, if you go into the hospital, so that the healthcare providers know what what level of care to give you if you're not able to give that advice early. So how important is that?
Super important. So advanced healthcare directives I look at them as also blessings. They're blessings in the aspect that you are giving permission. And when I say you, you're the drafter. You're the person that is going to give permission to your loved ones to let you go, let's say, in a life support situation, or you give give your loved ones permission to, uh, if you can't go back home, and it's okay that they take you to an assisted living facility. So, an advanced healthcare directive is all about what your wishes are with regard to your healthcare needs, starting with life support, whether you're organ donor, etc. So, how many times have you been in a situation where you're trying to figure out what your wife, let's say, oh, what would my wife want in this situation?
Right, and it's a tough situation. Number one, and it's tough for the kids if their parents were in a coma or something. You know, should they ask the doctor to pull the plug because they may feel guilty? I'm not gonna kill my mama. I'm gonna let it stay. And a lot of folks have the type of feeling that say, look, if I'm in a vegetated state, if I'm in a coma and I can't speak, or I'm, to the point where I'm on a ventilator or something, I don't want to hang around here. I'm ready to go, take my chance to see if I'm making it, going up yonder or maybe down below. So, so they want, they're going to say, look, I don't want my kids to suffer. Pull the plug, let me go. But other folks say, well, look, hold it. I like this. Technology is advancing. And if I hung around one more day, they came up with that miracle drug that have brought me back. And they want to hang on to the very end. So if
Freeze them, right?
right, and if that's your choice, you have the right to make that choice, and you do that with a healthcare directive. But if you don't have one, then the hospital will assume you want to fight to the very end because that's their job. Isn't that correct?
So, if you don't have one, guess where we get court?
Oh, okay.
Probate. It's a conservatorship. And the conservatorship or guardianship is over the person, which is the advanced healthcare directive side, or over the estate, which is the financial side. And so we live in a litigious world, and no one wants to be responsible for someone else's, what happens to them. And that's actually how the advanced healthcare directive came about, was the Terry Strivo case in Florida. And that was a life support case where a husband wanted to let her go and the family didn't. And so they litigated because the hospital was not going to take a position. And so that's why it's super important, because we have been in control of our lives this long. Why leave it up to somebody else? And like you were saying with regard to kids, you may have had a conversation with your kid one time and then you changed your mind and told the other kid another thing. And absent a piece of paper that has it in writing, you have two people with two different ideas who may have had a valid conversation with you, but who who breaks the tiebreaker?
Right, and not only that, then you have a family that's torn apart because
Right.
whatever decisions made, one's gonna despise the other, and you ruin a relationship. So why put your family through that when you have the opportunity to make your wishes known, and make them clear? And that's why I think it's very important that that's the part of the package that you put together, right? Because I know you did it for me. So you put together, the healthcare directive, the living trust, and the power of attorney. So that's part of the package. But one other quick thing I was thinking about, that in a living trust, there's also a will. So tell us a little bit about the will that's inside the living trust.
So, with regard to the will that goes along with a trust, it's called a pour over will. And what it does is it's a catch all, quite frankly. And what it does is, if your trust is being questioned, now you're past, you're not here, so your trust has become irrevocable, and someone decides to go to court and challenge it because they don't like what you left them or you did not leave them, etc. Um, your will, excuse me, your will be filed with the court. And what the directions in the will say is that, hey, republish my trust as a testamentary trust. And all the provisions that were in my trust, bring them back, because that was my intention. So it's a wonderful thing to have a pour over will attached to your trust.
Okay. So in our final minutes, tell us about what the customary or what your office would normally charge for a living trust, the range of prices, that you would charge
Duh,
from, from,
Really?
because people want to know. I
It
mean,
really depends.
yeah.
And people don't like that answer, but it depends. Do you own a home? Do you have children? Do you have anyone with special needs? Um, what's the size of your estate? Do you have, it really depends on the level of sophistication that you may need behind it. The key is, so it ranges. I would say the going rate is about maybe 2,300 to start up. And but remember also, you get what you pay for. When you pay the money, you're going to get the work behind it. You're going to get the attention to detail, and you're actually going to be able to share with your attorney what you want, and we turn around and write it down the best we can.
Well, and look, don't be afraid to say, hey, it costs money. I mean,
Hmm.
I mean, when you're doing one in a state that has, hundreds of thousands of dollars, it's going to cost some money to protect it. So,
Hmm.
if they want to go online and do it themselves, and they can
Legal
take the
Zumia.
risk, you know,
You and Legal Boom.
or whatever,
Network marketing.
whatever try to do it, you get what you pay for. But that's the important part. It can be a little pricey, but you should plan for that. Set some money aside. I'm sure some attorneys will do a payment plan. It depends. Every attorney will charge different, but by all means, don't not have a plan for fear that's going to cost you too much, because that price is a small price to pay. If you don't have a will, you don't have a trust, things can go south very quickly, and you'll be regretting it for years.
So I tell when I'm speaking to someone who's inquiring about a estate plan, anyone can draft documents. Okay, I'm not saying good, but anyone can do it. It's what you do with the documents, what energy, what work you put into it. So there's three stages of creating a estate plan. We draft the documents, then we get the professionals around you. So if in your advanced healthcare directive you say, I want to stay home as long as possible, we'll have you talk to a home care provider. Do you know the difference between home care, home health, that kind of thing? And then, so you have your professionals, you have your financial advisor, your CPA, all these people to help you, because that's how you're going to make sure that your estate plan is fulfilled. And then the third thing is talking to your family, because a lot of times I'm in court in probate because there has been a lack of communication between the decedent and the family, and there's a misunderstanding, etc. And so communication's key. So those are the three steps that creating a estate plan.
Okay, well, our time is unfortunately almost up. So let folks know how they can get in touch with you so they can use your services. We got 2 minutes left. All right. So in the last 2 minutes, give yourself a shout out. Tell us how people can get in touch with you.
You can go to my website, www.schillingerlaw.com. I'm located in Bankers Hill. And one of the things that I really am
Can,
proud
can
of,
we back up and spell Schillinger so that our
oh,
audience
sorry.
can understand that
Sure.
they get it right? They
Exactly.
don't
No
want
C.
they don't want John Dillinger. They want Lawan Schillinger.
So it's Schillinger is Schillinger, law.com. And one of the things that I'm really proud about is that Schillinger Law has a resource series that we host at 4 different locations, because education is super key, and knowing what you have and also how to get that, as I had mentioned earlier, the professionals around you. And so check out my website and you'll see the different locations where we offer the resource series.
How can they get in touch with you by phone?
My number is 619-576-5719.
Now do it again like you did it then.
My number.
I'm sorry, I'm a DJ from the 70s.
Oh, so my number is 619-576-5719.
Okay, that's
All right. Well,
www.schillingerlaw.com, right?
Yes.
All right.
excellent.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for being on our show
Thank you for
today.
having me.
We appreciate the knowledge, and those who, if you don't know her number, call my office, Oden and Green. I'll be happy to refer you to her. She's an absolutely fabulous attorney. So thank you for our show. We'll see you in a couple of weeks. I guess August 29th. We got 3 shows this month.
All
So we'll
right.
see you in a couple of weeks on Law and Money with attorney Douglas Oden and financial advisor Michael Allen.
Take care.
Good night.
Thank you. DJ, huh?
All right.
Flashback.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you. That was